Sorry. I do apologise. Oh, it's okay. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to go down.
Steve, I've got a list here of 11 players, 11 potential injuries. Are you able to talk us through who's available?
I'll try my best. How much time you got?
Fabian Schär.
Fabian Schär will not make it. No, I doubt he'll be ready for Tuesday either.
Okay, Dummett.
Dummett is fit.
Mankiw.
Not fit.
Clark.
Fit.
Okay, that'll be a boost to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jetro. Dillon.
Jetro fit.
Okay. Shelby.
Not quite.
Okay. Alan.
Alan is trained the last 2-3 days, so he's up on the grass, but not really, not ready for tomorrow.
Jamal, not ready.
Not ready for tomorrow, but we expect him to be in and around it for Tuesday as well.
Okay. Andy Carroll.
Andy Carroll's fit.
Dwight Gill.
Fit.
And Almiron.
Almiron is fit. Yeah.
Okay. So not too bad.
Yeah, I mean we've got 2-3 back. I mean it's ridiculous that we're talking about all the time injuries, but it's part and parcel of it. Unfortunately, we lost 2 or 3 last weekend, so we've got 2 or 3 back, and we've lost 2 or 3. So Key and Mutu in particular both got knocks, and we'll have to wait over Yedlin too. He hurt his knee a little bit as well. So when getting 2 or 3 back, we've lost 2 or 3. So there's light at the end of the tunnel, though. I expect them all by the end of the vast majority, anyway, by the end of next week to be there or thereabouts with it, which is good.
I've forgotten about those 3 that you mentioned there, but that just kind of underlines how difficult it is for you in terms of consistency.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, look, we're counting bodies at the minute, and I said right before the start of it that it was a ridiculous schedule. I think this is the consequence of it. That's for others to debate, but I honestly do, that you're playing people tired, and all we do is try not to avoid that. So it is what it is. We have to get on with it. I think there's a lot of other clubs in a similar sort of situation, maybe not as bad, but we've seen a lot of other clubs struggling with it too, so we just have to get on with it.
And how is the mood around the place? Because obviously the team and yourself, I suppose, took a bit of criticism after last weekend.
Yeah. Listen, I was delighted with the first half, the way we played, and to be fair to Rochdale, they made a cup tie of it in the second, so we're still in the hat. We've got a game on Tuesday, we've got a game tomorrow, and then they come thick and fast again for the next couple of weeks, so it's an opportunity for us, an opportunity that we've got a home tie in the next one if we get past Rochdale, so all to play for.
And that's just a third of the way into the transfer window now. You said that you have been saying that you've got plates spinning.
Yep.
Still spinning?
I like everybody else, but I've said from day one that January is always going to be difficult, and I haven't changed on it, that we have to have people who are going to come and improve us, and that's difficult to find at this particular moment. So if there's something available and we can act and there's a deal to be done, then we'll try and do it. Simple as that.
Yeah, we've seen it across the board, really. All the teams, nobody really bringing anyone in already.
I think everybody finds, look, there's been 1 or 2 sensational transfers over the years. Van Dijk was a January sale, I believe. There's been some sensational ones, but usually teams don't want to sell their best players. They're either fighting for one end or fighting at the other end, so it's a difficult market, and what you end up doing is looking at people who's fallen out with somebody, and that's not usually a good thing either.
Do you feel as though you're making inroads on 1 or 2?
1 or 2 maybe, but you think you're getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden it shuts in your face, so we'll see. Make no mistake, we'll tell you though straight away. You'll be first to know.
Good, I hope so. Do you feel almost with Joe Linton after what happened last week? I know your priority is to bring in a striker, but do you feel there is a necessity to try and take some of the pressure off of him because he's
I thought he gave us food for thought when he played into a wider area. That's something we explored at Burnley, and I thought he did very well. Look, when you come here with a big price tag, he's a young lad, and the number 9 shirt wears heavy. So the great thing about Joe, he works every day. He's never missed a training session since he's been here, wants to learn and wants to improve. And of course, when you're up against it, like anything, the only thing you can do is roll your sleeves up, get on with it, keep working away at your game and hope that it turns around. You know, Almiron was a couple of weeks ago, we're always saying the same thing. All of a sudden he's got 2 in 2 weeks, so let's hope that continues and Joe finds his feet as well.
I think in the last week the question marks over Joe has been more about, I think there's a feeling that his body language, he maybe looks as though he's maybe not trying as hard as perhaps what Almiron did. Is that something?
No, I don't think that. Look, people are different in the way their styles of play. I see him and see him every day in work, and he works extremely hard. And look, to play for me, you have to have one thing, that you roll your sleeves up and have a go. And his physical stats stack up. So no matter how he looks, always we've got the statistics to prove that that's otherwise. You know, in training and on match days, his physical statistics are very, very good. He's going through that classic scenario of the striker who can't score a goal. All of that gets heaped upon them, you know, and it's amazing what a goal does. You know, his best performance was Tottenham away when he scored. So we need him to, you know, that one he rolled against Rochdale, we need to go roll into the net, and hopefully that'll get him up and started again.
Is that still your priority position, a striker?
I've said all along that if we can improve the team, then I'll try and improve the team. That goes from midfield, up front, defender, but it's fair to say that we would like to add to our firepower, of course we would, but you know, as I said, it's very, very difficult, and I will not just bring in people for the sake of it, because it's no use to anybody.
Can I put one name to you, just because you've been doing the rounds the last couple of days? Lookman, Adama Lookman at Leipzig. Is there an interest there?
Well, look, I think I've been linked with 38 players that Lee has run past me, our media man, and he's another one of them. He's a good player, I like him, well, who wouldn't do, but it's a little bit far off at the moment.
I thought you meant Lee there.
No, this Lee. Yeah, that's this Lee. Not Lee Charnley, this Lee.
Thanks, Steve. Cheers.
Thanks.
Steve, just one last one on Rochdale. You said, of course, they played very, very well in the second half, Rochdale, but after a few days of reflection, have you been able to put a finger on what went wrong from a Newcastle perspective? Well,
we lost 2 players. Well, forward players too, and I think that lost a bit of momentum. Mutu, and of course, our best player on the day for me was Almiron, and unfortunately he had to come off. So I never want to make excuses. The game should have been put to bed. We didn't get to the levels of what we did in the second half as we did the first. And when you have that total dominance, you need to score and put the cup tie to bed. Unfortunately, we didn't. The longer it goes at 1-0, it gives them the appetite for it and made a cup tie of it. And how often have we seen it in the week of the FA Cup? Quite remarkable, and I'm sure we'll see it again over the next few weeks.
Just a word on the draw as well. You know, should Newcastle get past Rochdale, Oxford in the next round? You mentioned you want to go on a cup run.
Well, it certainly gives you the opportunity. Absolutely. When I've seen the draw, I don't know if you've seen it, but we're sitting there looking at it and thinking there were 6 of us left, and Man City were still there, I think, weren't they? So, I mean, look, it's a wonderful opportunity. So we'll address tomorrow, and then we'll get ready for Tuesday, and then if we get past that one, we've got a wonderful opportunity. Absolutely right.
Just one more on the Joe Linton situation. What have you been doing as a manager with him at the moment in terms of what we were talking about there with Keith?
The key for any manager is that word confidence, as always said a long, long time, is to try, and if we possibly can, to keep him in good spirits if he can. And that's for myself and all my coaching staff too. You know, when you see him train every day and play, we know there's a player in there. So, and we've seen glimpses of it this year as well. That you look at him, but obviously at the minute they're judged by scoring a goal, and any striker gives them the confidence to go and kick on from that. So we have to keep working away with him. He trains every day. He's not missed a training session or a game since we've been here. So I hope tomorrow that he can roll his sleeves up and get stuck into it.
Just one on the injuries. I promise only one on the injuries, because it seems like it's all we've ever talked about for the last few weeks. How relieved are you that the squad is starting to repair?
Yeah, I hope by the end of the month and the break in the next 2 weeks that we practically have everybody right. And I predicted it before before the window and said how ridiculous the schedule was. We have to look into it. It's ridiculous. And when I see the schedule of some of the top teams, then it's ludicrous. So why we can't start the season a week earlier and prolong it for a week is beyond me. Instead of trying to cram all these games into such a short period of time, and of course cramming so many games in, it becomes a huge, most important part of the season when you're asking players to play tired and not quite right, and all we do nowadays is to try and look after them. So it's something that we'll have to get together with and try and do something about it, because I'm not alone in it. There's a lot of teams out there who's suffered from it, and you will continually do that if you're asking players to play 3 times in 5-6 days. Then you're risking ridiculous injuries, and unfortunately that's what we've picked up.
One of those teams who probably suffered more than most given the European commitments are Wolves this weekend, a really heavy schedule for them all the way throughout the season.
Yeah.
Is there a feeling, I know they lost at Watford, is there a feeling that that's starting to...
Well, listen, I think first and foremost they're a very, very good team, and they were far too good for the Championship a couple of years ago when I come up against them. They've bought extremely well, they've got good players, and they're a very, very talented team. And it's no fluke of where they ended up last year, and they've continued it on in this year. To ask them to play nearly 40 games before the end of January is totally ridiculous, but they're managing well at the minute, so I can only speak for myself of what we've come up against, and unfortunately we've been really badly hampered by it.
And I know we asked about Will Sahar when Crystal Palace came to visit. It's all about Adama Traore seemingly at Wolves at the moment. Is there anything put in place at him? Because he's such an enigma, such an unpredictable sort of player to play against.
Well, he's got blister and pace and power is a key ingredient these days. So we'll have to play well against him because he's really on top form at the moment. So, but they've got more than just him. The Jimenez is a top class striker, and Jota and Martinho, wherever you look, they've got some good players. So he's only just one of them.
Just on the away form, I think some of Newcastle's best performances have been on the road. Spurs away, you mentioned earlier, Sheffield United.
Some of the worst as well. I have to tell you, but yeah, away from
7 defeats from 10. How surprising is that, given that some of the better performances have been on the road?
Well, it's so difficult. If you look at most Premier League teams, then it's very, very difficult to win away from home, and with the home advantage, and we've proved that at St James's up until the last week or so. Some of our better ones we've got to find that resilience again, and we've got to stop making individual error. That's cost us badly in the last couple of games, especially away from home. So if we find that resilience again, then we'll have to defend well and hopefully catch them and create something the other side, the other way, but certainly we'll have to defend well against them.
Just one final one on the transfer window. I know you said business could be done very, very late on in the window. Let's get to 1st of February. What would be the ideal situation for you to be sat here, maybe talking?
Well, I'm very relaxed on it because of my experience of being in and around January and knowing how ridiculous it is. Then as I said all along, that we will try and act. If there's somebody out there who there's a deal to be done, and we can get a deal done, and he can improve us, then we will try and act. It's quite simple for me. If we can improve, then of course I'll knock the door. And if we can't, then we've got to be patient, because I've seen it before where you bring 2-3 in and they're no better than what you've got. And what's the point of that? So we're in a position now where we're getting a few back fit, and of course every squad would like 1 or 2 players in. That's normal. But at this particular moment, we're spinning a few plates and we'll see where it takes us.
Cheers.
Steve, if you didn't strengthen, but you got most of those players back on the pitch, would you be reasonably relaxed for the rest of the season?
I would be, because I know what January's like. As I said before, there's been 1 or 2 huge transfers. But when you look at it, even now, were we 10 days in? Has anything been done? I think there's probably been 1 in the Premier League. So it doesn't surprise me, because most teams now, they're either looking over their shoulder or they're looking the other way. So you never want to lose your better players. It's like us. If anybody came for our better players, especially a Premier League team, in the bottom half of the division, then we wouldn't want to sell to them. In fact, we wouldn't sell to them. So, that's the way it is. And other teams are exactly the same. They don't want to lose their better players, and that's we've got to be patient on it and wait and make sure we can improve when we can.
We've talked about Wolves' shed load of fixtures. Is Nuno's squad rotation, is that the key to why they're sort of still up there?
Well, I've never really analysed of what Wolves have done. I know they've done particularly well, and they've played in Europe, and some of them pre-season was in the Europa Cup, and let's be fair, they've done very, very well. They've got to the last 16 and qualified. Over the last couple of years, they were easily the best team I'd seen in the Championship for a long, long time, and they've continued that on. They've invested very, very well. They've bought some very, very good players, and at the end of the day, they're a very good team.
When you're on a losing run, just getting any sort of result to break that,
Yeah. We've got to go back to that resilience of what made us difficult to play against and difficult to beat, and not give anything away. Over the last 2-3 games in particular, we've gifted teams the result. And in the Premier League, it's hard enough, let alone to be making the silly mistakes that we've made. So we have to eradicate those them decisions which we've made and the bad goals we've given away, because up until then we were very, 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 very solid and look very difficult to play against. So we have to go and get that again.
We mentioned Joe Linton earlier, but when you've got a player who's out of form and perhaps lacking a bit of confidence, is it a difficult decision to know whether to keep them in and say, look, it'll come, keep working, or perhaps sometimes to take them out the fight?
Well, I think the difficulty has been that at the moment, we're working with 12, 13 players, which is not ideal. So we haven't been blessed with being able to make them decisions. We've counted the numbers like we've done this morning and say, right, what we got fit, what we got available, and let's go and put a team out, So it's not been ideal, but that's the way it is. And, always through confidence, when we believe it is, that you've got to try and play through it. And if there's a time, then you have to leave them out, then that comes a time as well. But at the moment, we're a bit short in that department. So let's hope he turns it around tomorrow.
But he was the first to congratulate Almiron when he scored at Rochdale. Just the look on his face, he was really pleased for his teammate.
Well, you're asking me the same sort of questions, maybe not on Almiron as in performance-wise, but everybody, the talk of everybody was, when's he going to score? So he's got 2 in the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? Since December the 21st or whenever it is. So we hope that continues. And Joe's just got to take out of Almiron's boot. You just plug away and keep playing, and hopefully it'll turn.
Thanks, chaps.
Thanks, chaps. Thank you.
All right.